Hello and welcome to Frank's School. Today's going to be brief. This is the 110th day. I'd like you to watch Alan Herrera's Kings and Queens of England, episode 4, from that time to this time. It's short, 7 minutes or so. Here he covers what's called the Interregnum, between kings. Charles I was executed in 1649. And his son was invited back to England from the continent in 1660. So they had a king again, but there was a period of time with no king. During this time, Oliver Cromwell he had been a general, the head of the army, the new model army, and he was called Lord Protector or dictator. I think the jury is really still out about Oliver Cromwell. He was offered the kingship, passed it up, but then chose his son as a successor, just like a king would. And that guy had a nickname, and he was almost laughed off. And England decided they wanted to have a king, a real king. As I said, this can be quite brief. During this time, the Peace of Westphalia, now that's in Germany. That's where Hagen, that wonderful museum that the Hawklings and I visited last year, is Westphalia. The Peace of Westphalia ended the 30 Years' War. So you see, on the continent, while England was having its civil war, 3 civil wars, on the continent, all kinds of unbelievable warfare was going on. It was a bad time. Worcester, I just spelled it because I wasn't so sure you'd be able to write it, the name of a battle. Now let's see, let me look over here. The Puritans, you see, Oliver Cromwell was a Puritan, and he had these strict religious and moral beliefs. The Puritans did. Eventually, that dwindled in England, but in New England, in the United States, it remained strong, and there's vestiges of it still. You see, the United States got its birth in many ways right about this time, and so the United States, especially New England, got this big dose of Puritanism, people who were discontent with the way things were in England. I'll come back to that in just a second, but was this utopian? I hadn't really thought about that. Was this a utopian effort to make a more perfect world? I think maybe it was. Oliver Cromwell with his new model army, what they tried to do was force the nation to live by what they felt were moral, religious, upright laws. You can see that other places. I mean, I really think in the Islamic world, you see that you see that widespread, and a different set of laws, a different set of morals. But in any case, it didn't work in England. By the end of it, as Alan Herrera so clearly says, England had decided they didn't want a military running their government. They didn't want a revolutionary people with fanatical ideas. No religious fanatics. No, that's not what they wanted for government. And I love the word at the end. He says they'd been vaccinated. In other words, they had had the disease and recovered, whereas the rest of the world got the disease later. A really interesting idea. That was new to me, and I liked it. Finally, I wrote down Jews from Amsterdam. I said I'm going to be following the story of the Jews. Oliver Cromwell wanted the Jews to come back to England, especially the ones in Amsterdam. And why? Because of their money and their trade connections. Well, short, but on we'll go then. Bye for now.